You're a pathetic excuse for a man. Maybe you'll be hot once I pour this coffee on you, she sneered. Then she did it. The mug hit my chest, boiling coffee exploding across my shirt and face like napalm. Her smirk stayed frozen, watching every twitch in my jaw, every involuntary wince as the heat ate at my skin. I didn't scream. I didn't curse. I didn't move. I just locked eyes with her. The man beside her, shirt halfway unbuttoned, gym-pumped arms crossed like he owned my kitchen, snorted. I think he thought I was about to cry. Maybe grovel. Maybe beg for her to come back. That's what weak men do, right? That's what they expected from the pathetic excuse for a man. But I did one thing instead. I took a step forward. Just one. And that single step? It changed everything. Because when I moved, I didn't raise my voice. I raised my right hand. I didn't punch. I didn't shove. I pressed my thumb into the emergency button I'd installed under the countertop last fall, when her late nights had started to add up, when the stories stopped making sense, when paranoia became the only clarity I had left. The house cameras were already streaming. The door was already unlocked. The authorities were already en route. But none of that would matter in the next 15 seconds. You see, Marcus, her smug, side-smirking lover, didn't know I boxed in college. He also didn't know I still trained 3 times a week in private. He especially didn't know that pouring scalding liquid on someone could legally be considered assault, and that self-defense kicks in real fast in our state when you're on your own property, face burned, and adrenaline rushing through your system like fire. I stepped toward him. He puffed up, chest out, confident in the muscle he used more for show than impact. But that confidence cracked the moment I smiled. Then I moved. Left elbow, throat. Right palm, jaw. Leg sweep, floor. My wife screamed something about police. Funny. They were already 5 minutes away. I didn't touch her. I didn't have to. She backed herself into the wall like a kicked dog, trembling with rage more than fear. She always hated losing control. Always hated when someone flipped her script. And now her script was burning. While they were still writhing and whining on the polished tiles of the house I paid for, I walked past them, grabbed my jacket, and stepped into the garage. No yelling. No panic. Just ice. Because the next part of my plan had already begun 3 days ago, when my lawyer, Sean, filed the emergency ownership transfer papers behind her back. See, Emily, my dear wife, was too busy spending weekends in hotels with Marcus to notice the documents on the counter. The ones she signed blindly when I told her they were tax forms. So while they were still calling out to me, him gasping, her sobbing, I was already en route to Sean's office, watching live footage from the home security app as the ambulance arrived. Let them cry. Let them panic. Let them bleed. Because what comes next? That'll make them wish the coffee was the worst part. I hadn't always been this cold. Hell, I used to worship the ground Emily walked on. I used to bring her breakfast in bed, tuck little notes in her bag, warm her car on winter mornings. But I guess kindness only looks like weakness to someone who thinks love is a game of domination. I'd ignored the signs at first. The perfume that wasn't hers. The texts at 2 a.m. The giggles in the bathroom when she thought I was asleep. But today wasn't the day for discovery. Today was judgment. Today was the reckoning. And I wasn't done. This house. It's mine now. Officially. Legally. Completely. The accounts? Already frozen. The prenup? Voided by infidelity. Thanks to the security footage showing Marcus entering our bedroom 3 separate times this month. Each time while I was working late trying to pay off her credit cards. Her lawyer will try to fight it, I'm sure. But mine's better. And when they get served tomorrow morning, bruised, broken, burned, they'll realize something neither of them ever thought possible. The man they mocked was the man with the plan. I didn't see it at first. I didn't want to. That's how betrayal works. It wears perfume, smiles sweetly, and tells you that you're crazy for even questioning it. And God help me, I believed her. It all started 4 months ago. Babe, I'm just going to Danielle's tonight, Emily had said, tossing her heels into a bag with such casual speed that I almost didn't catch it. Girls' wine night. No big deal. She kissed me on the cheek, light, fast, distracted, and was out the door before I could even ask which Danielle. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Her boss was apparently a nightmare. The late hours were to finish campaigns. The new clothes were for meetings. The locked phone. Work secrets. The gym obsession. Mental health. I bought it all. But lies, like cracks in glass, always spread. One night, I got up to grab some water. Her phone lit up on the kitchen counter. A preview flashed. Marcus, you smell like heaven. He's really still buying this? My stomach sank. I didn't touch it. Didn't snoop. Just stared at the screen, willing it to be a misunderstanding. But the second message sealed it. Marcus, can't wait to pick you up again Saturday. Same hotel. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I asked her about Danielle. About wine nights. She rolled her eyes, slammed her mug on the counter. Are you seriously doing this? You don't trust me now? After everything. I apologized. Because she knew how to twist guilt like a knife. From there, things got colder. She stopped cooking, stopped touching me. Her laughter disappeared. Everything I did annoyed her. My shirts weren't folded right. I chewed too loudly. I breathed wrong. It wasn't just cheating. It was erosion. But I didn't confront her right away. No. I started documenting. I bought a new phone and installed cameras. Small ones, hidden, discreet. She never noticed. And that Saturday, she wore the same red dress I'd bought her for our anniversary. She thought it was funny. Marcus picked her up 3 blocks away. I had it all on video, license plate, audio, timestamps. They didn't even try to be discreet. I watched them on my screen as they entered a hotel I'd once surprised her with for her birthday. She laughed in the hallway, called him daddy, told him I was an idiot. I couldn't look away. That was the moment the switch flipped. Not because she cheated, but because she enjoyed humiliating me. Because she planned it. Because she mocked the man who gave her a home, a life, and unwavering love. I realized I'd married someone who didn't just lie. She thrived on cruelty. After that, I stopped being her husband and started becoming her reckoning. I met with my lawyer the next day, told him everything. We opened an infidelity clause, got the footage analyzed, hired a forensic accountant. She didn't know that I had full access to her spending. $13,000 gone in 6 weeks. Spa days, jewelry, designer bags. And guess whose name she used on the billing address? Mine. I didn't yell, didn't smash anything. I smiled, because now I had evidence. I started planting traps. Papers she could sign, access she thought she had. One by one, I unraveled her power without her noticing. Until the morning of the coffee. That was the day it all caught fire. And tomorrow, the ashes will spell her name. She came home late again the night before it happened. Hair tousled, cheeks flushed, mascara smudged just enough to not be innocent, but not enough for me to call her out without being labeled paranoid. Emily tossed her purse onto the counter, grabbed the wine bottle I'd been saving for our anniversary, and poured herself a glass like she owned the house, the room, the moment. You're quiet, she said, not even looking at me. Just thinking, I replied. Her laugh was sharp, dry. That's dangerous. She took a long sip, walked past me like I was furniture, and headed upstairs to shower. I followed slowly, each step rehearsed in my mind. I knew where this was going. Her phone buzzed 3 times while she was in the bathroom. I didn't have to check it. I cloned it to my spare phone 2 weeks ago. I could see every message as it came in. Marcus, I still taste you. Marcus, let him ask. I'll be waiting. Marcus, tomorrow? I want to watch you break him. That was the final nail. I told her the night before that I wanted to have breakfast together. I'd even made her favorite blend. Hazelnut, strong, the kind she used to beg me to brew when we first moved in. I sat at the table, waited. She came down in a silk robe, the kind she never wore for me anymore. Her eyes were cold. So, she said, staring at me like I was a stain on the floor. I gestured to the 2 mugs. Thought we could talk. I've noticed things. And she cut me off with a scoff, walked to the mug, picked it up, and before I could say another word, dumped the entire steaming contents onto my chest and face. You're a pathetic excuse for a man, she said, stepping back like she expected me to cry out. Maybe you'll be hot once I pour this coffee on you. And that was the moment everything shattered. I stood there, coffee soaking into my shirt, pain crawling up my neck, my vision blurred from both heat and disbelief. But I didn't flinch. I didn't scream. I didn't even move. Until I saw him. Marcus walked into my kitchen like he lived there, leaning on the doorway with a smug grin and that same half-buttoned shirt he always wore in hotel footage. Didn't think he'd take it this well, he chuckled. And that was the final switch. I didn't say a word. I took 1 step forward, just one, and it was enough. Marcus must have thought I was bluffing, until my elbow met his throat and his body hit the ground. Emily screamed. I didn't look at her. I stepped over him, opened the drawer where I kept the files, prenup, transfer forms, security footage backups. All labeled. Already. She started screaming about the police. I smiled. They're already on the way, I said calmly. Just like the ambulance. You should lie down. Her eyes widened when she realized I wasn't bluffing. When she saw the blinking red light on the corner of the kitchen camera, she tried to grab her phone. I already had it. She tried to run. I let her. She slipped on the spilled coffee, crashing to the floor next to her gasping lover. I walked out the front door, not even looking back. 10 minutes later, I was in my lawyer's office, signing the final document that made the house legally mine, and her a guest. But that was just the beginning. Tomorrow, she would learn what real pain tastes like. The ambulance came just as I pulled out of the driveway. I watched from a distance, parked under the shade of an old oak tree, the engine running and the AC humming. They carried Marcus out first, neck brace, blood trickling down his lip, eyes fluttering like he'd just woken up from a bad dream. Emily was next. No stretcher for her. Just 2 EMTs helping her stumble barefoot and soaked, shrieking something about pressing charges, about me being insane. I almost laughed. But instead, I drove downtown. Sean, my attorney, was already waiting when I arrived. We're locked and loaded, he said, handing me a sleek black folder. Inside was everything. Video stills, witness statements from neighbors who heard her screaming threats, a log of her text messages pulled legally through a synced iCloud account, and a notarized document confirming the full transfer of property. She's going to try to fight it, Sean said. But she's got nothing. You're clean. She's cornered. Good. Back at the house, the police were questioning her. I saw it all through the external cameras. 2 officers on the porch, one holding a tablet and showing her footage from my kitchen. Her face went pale, then red, then desperate. She tried to scream again. Point fingers. Say I planned it. That I provoked her. But truth is stubborn. And evidence doesn't care about crocodile tears. By noon, I had filed for divorce under marital misconduct. Because of the infidelity clause in our prenup, activated the moment proof of cheating was submitted, she wasn't just getting nothing. She was losing everything. The house. Mine. The cars. Mine. The joint savings. Frozen. Her name. About to be attached to court records. She called me 5 times. I didn't answer. Then she texted, Emily, please. We need to talk. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Far. She meant for it to go far enough to humiliate me. To sleep in the bed I bought with a man I'd never invited into my life. To pour coffee on me like I was trash. She meant all of that. She just didn't mean to lose. I let her stew for hours. By 4 p.m., she was at the front gate, pounding on it like a lunatic. Hair wild. Face blotched with dried tears and old foundation. You can't lock me out of my own house, she screamed. I opened the speaker channel. My voice echoed through the gate intercom. It's not your house anymore, Emily. She froze. You signed it over. You just didn't read what you were signing. Like everything else in our marriage, you were too busy lying to care about the details. You tricked me, she hissed. No, I said coldly. I gave you rope. You decided to hang yourself with it. She tried threats, then fake sobs, then bargaining. I watched her go through the stages of grief in real time. Except this wasn't grief over love lost. It was power, control, the illusion that she could destroy a man and walk away unscathed. At 6 p.m., she left. Or rather, she was escorted by a police officer who informed her that until the court hearing, she was not allowed within 500 feet of the property. I slept well that night. Not because I'd won, but because I'd ended something that had been poisoning me for years. And yet, I wasn't done. There was still one card left to play. One final move that would remind her, permanently, who she tried to betray, that I could have ended it there. I had the house, the evidence, and the legal high ground. Emily was out in the cold, both literally and figuratively. But I wasn't built to just walk away. Not after what she did. Because there was one more layer to this story. One thread she never expected me to pull. A week before the coffee incident, I noticed a name pop up on our joint credit report. E. Thompson. I didn't think much of it until I realized it wasn't Emily's card, it was her sister's. A card that had been inactive for 2 years. Now suddenly used to pay for an Airbnb in Miami, a designer suit, and 2 flights. I called the airline. One name matched. The other? Marcus. Emily had opened a secret line of credit under her sister's name. That wasn't just infidelity. That was fraud. I had the receipts. The timeline. The charges. I made a copy of everything and slid it across Sean's desk. She's done, he said without blinking. We're not just divorcing her anymore. We're burying her. Now I had options, and I wanted her to feel every one of them. The next morning, I sent her a text. Meet me at the park. 1 hour. Don't be late. She replied within 2 minutes. Emily, please. I just want to explain everything. I was confused. I didn't mean to hurt you. Still playing the victim. Classic Emily. She showed up in a hoodie, sunglasses on, pretending she was some kind of celebrity dodging paparazzi. I was already sitting on a bench, calm, arms folded. I didn't offer a greeting. She sat down like we were old friends, like none of this had happened. Look, she began, her voice soft, calculated. What happened? It was a mistake. I felt trapped. You stopped seeing me, really seeing me. I just... Stop, I said. She blinked. You poured scalding coffee on me, Emily. That was... And you laughed about it. In front of the man you were screwing behind my back. Don't pretend this was about emotions. This was about control. She tried the tears again. I didn't flinch. I pulled out the folder and handed it to her. Open it. She flipped it open, her face shifting with every page. Fraud reports, the clone card statement, the booking logs, even a screenshot of her messages to Marcus. He'll never find out. I used my sister's info. Her hand trembled. Where did you get this? You'd be amazed what you can uncover when you finally stop loving someone, I said, standing up. You're not going to the police, she whispered, eyes wide. I leaned in. No, I'm going to give you a choice. She held her breath. You can walk away. No charges. No police. No jail. But you will sign over everything. Your shares in the business, your rights to the car, and an agreement that you'll never contact me again. You'll vanish. Quietly. Forever. And if I don't, she asked, then the DA gets all of this. I said, tapping the folder. You'll be in an orange jumpsuit by Monday. And Marcus? I'm sure he'll find another woman to hide behind. Emily went silent. Completely, utterly silent. Her expression told me she finally understood. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. And I was just getting started. Emily signed. She didn't have a choice. 2 days after our meeting in the park, she came to Sean's office with her new attorney, a timid woman who looked like she regretted taking the case the second she saw the paperwork. I didn't even look at Emily. Just sat across the table, flipping through my copy of her confessions, bank records, screenshots of texts, and the fraudulent card activity. By the time she signed the final page, her hands were shaking. Her voice, for once, was gone. She tried one last time to make eye contact. I didn't give it to her. She was nothing now, just a ghost of a woman who thought she could burn a man's life down and walk away smiling. But even though I had the legal win, I knew her kind. Emily thrived on attention. She craved validation like air. She needed people to see her, to admire her, to envy her. That's where I aimed next. You see, in our circle, she always played the perfect wife. Charity events, social brunches, influencer deals, all built on the lie of her ideal life. So I did the only thing that made sense. I ripped the mask off. It started with a package. She came home, wherever she was crashing at that point, and found a small, sleek black box on her doorstep. No return label, just her name. Inside, a flash drive. On it, a beautifully edited 5-minute video. No commentary, no narration, just footage, dates, screenshots, and silence. Clips of her and Marcus entering hotels. Her text messages laughing at me. Her signing fake documents. And finally, a frame-by-frame replay of her splashing coffee onto my face, smiling like a villain. At the end, just one sentence on the screen. You built your image on lies. I just showed the truth. That video went out to exactly 17 people. Her charity board, her brand sponsorship contacts, her old sorority friends, and her parents. Every single person who had ever told me, you're lucky to have her. One by one, her reputation collapsed. Her skincare deal? Dropped. Her brunch club? Removed her from the group chat. The influencer brand she cheated her way into? Issued a public statement cutting ties. But the final blow came 3 days later. Her mother, a cold and calculated woman herself, called me. I just want to say, she said, if I had known what she did, I wouldn't have let you marry her. That was the closure I didn't even know I needed. Not because I wanted their approval, I never did, but because Emily had lost the only thing that mattered to her more than power. Status. And she had done it to herself. All I did was hold up the mirror. But I wasn't done quite yet. Because there was one more move I had been planning. One that wouldn't just ruin her past, but rewrite my future. Something that would make her betrayal look like a footnote in the story of my life. She thought I was broken. She had no idea I was just rebuilding. People say revenge is best served cold. I disagree. It's best served in silence, when no one sees it coming. After everything, you'd think I'd want to disappear. Start over. Heal. But healing, for me, didn't mean therapy sessions or long walks on the beach. It meant building something out of the ruins she left behind and making sure she knew it. You remember the money she stole? The 13 grand she ran through in 6 weeks. Hotel rooms, luxury brands, gifts for her little side project named Marcus? Yeah, that money turned out to be the seed money for my empire. When I first discovered the affair, I wasn't just spying or gathering evidence. I was preparing, watching where she moved money, what names she used, how she covered tracks. It gave me a crash course in deception, and ironically, in business. So while she was too busy playing house in hotels, I was investing. A buddy of mine, Zach, ran a startup focused on private data recovery for high-profile clients. It was underfunded, overlooked, and ready to explode. I gave him the cash she blew through our joint account. He gave me 48% ownership. 3 weeks after our divorce went public, the company closed a deal with one of the biggest cybersecurity firms on the East Coast. Our valuation jumped 7 figures overnight. I never even touched the bonus. I reinvested, doubled down, bought into 2 more companies. One focused on corporate background checks. The other? A marketing agency that specialized in public reputation management. You see the irony? Emily's reputation was shattered, her digital footprint stained. And now, the companies I co-own clean up messes like hers, for a hefty price. She tried to climb by lying. I rose by learning from her lies. And it was all legal. Every paper signed. Every contract clean. Every cent accounted for. But I didn't just stop at money. I bought the apartment building where Marcus was renting a unit. Quietly, through a holding company. Waited until his lease came up. Raised the rent by 60%. Then served him notice for failure to comply with tenant standards. He left with 2 trash bags and a broken nose. And Emily? She started working at a mid-tier clothing store 3 towns over. I know, because a friend of mine walked in and saw her folding jeans behind the counter. She was wearing knockoff earrings and smiling like nothing was wrong. But behind that smile, she knew. She knew the man she once mocked now owned companies, properties, and power she couldn't even pronounce. She knew the man she tried to destroy didn't just survive. He evolved. And all of it, built on the ashes of her betrayal. One day, I got a letter. Handwritten. No return address. I recognized the handwriting instantly. I don't know what you've become, but I hope it brings you peace. I never thought you had it in you. But maybe I never really knew you at all. I burned the letter. Not out of hatred. Out of closure. She was right. She never knew me. But now the world does. And I wasn't finished writing my story, yet it's strange how silence can feel louder than any scream. That's what I felt the morning I stepped onto the balcony of my new home, overlooking a skyline that didn't know my name 6 months ago, yet now held my fingerprints on more than a dozen buildings. The war was over. I had won. But the echoes still lingered. Not the pain. That faded the moment I watched her walk away empty-handed, her pride as hollow as the apology she never truly meant. No, the echo I'm talking about is the memory. The way betrayal wraps itself around your spine and squeezes, not to break you, but to remind you that it once tried and failed. So what would I say to the next man, the one sitting in a house filled with doubt, seeing lipstick shades on wine glasses that don't match his wife's collection? The man watching his partner drift away one excuse at a time while he gaslights himself into silence? Here's what I'd say. Don't ignore your gut. It's not insecurity. It's instinct. The moment she hides her phone like it's a government file, the moment she starts dressing up for a girls' night, like it's the Met Gala, the moment her laughter stops including you, and her touch becomes a transaction, that's your alarm clock. Wake up. I spent months pretending I was imagining things. I excused her absences, her temper, her little lies. Because love makes you stupid. And loyalty? It can be a slow poison when given to the wrong heart. But here's the truth. The moment she chooses someone else, emotionally, physically, spiritually, she already divorced you. She just hasn't filed the papers yet. So don't wait for the perfect moment to confront her. Don't wait until you're burned with coffee, humiliated in your own home, or mocked by a man who didn't earn a single brick of what you built. Prepare. Quietly. Observe. Collect. Document. Then strike. With precision, not rage. Revenge isn't about making her cry. It's about making yourself unshakable. Don't just survive her betrayal. Profit from it. Let it build you. Let it sharpen you. Let it teach you. Then build something so big, so powerful, that she'll choke on the dust cloud you leave behind. And don't forgive for closure. Forgive to forget her name. To bury it with the old version of yourself that believed love alone was enough to keep a liar loyal. Because what she tried to destroy, it wasn't just a marriage. It was a man. But I'm still standing. No, I'm thriving. And the final irony? The man she called pathetic now signs checks with more zeros than she'll see in her lifetime. The loser she mocked now owns companies that clean up the reputations of cheaters just like her. And the coward she tried to humiliate, he's now the nightmare she sees in her quiet moments. Not because he ruined her life, but because he rebuilt his without her. So here's my last message. Let her leave. Let her cheat. Let her lie. Let her show you who she really is. Then show her who you can become.